Hey, welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. The Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon is a company run by Joe Ross. He's a former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer. We thank Higher Echelon for sponsoring this podcast. This is our recap of the overtime. Brendan, we're calling it a air quotes thriller at Mikey Stadium
thriller.
Today. 41-38. Army falls to UTSA. It's Army goes to 0-2 for the first time since 2015. They lose a home opener for the first time since 2015, I believe, too. They had won 6 straight home openers, and this was a game right. First, before we get to the recap, check out our Black Knight Nation website. I just wrote the recap of the game. I'm going to put it up after the podcast. We're going to have we have a lot of photos from Ed Diller and Lynn Fern who were at the game. Check out our Instagram. I put up some Instagram, some pregame videos on our Instagram and also our Twitter accounts. And give us a follow here or subscribe. You subscribe on YouTube. My bad. Subscribe, like this video. We're at 495 subscribers here on YouTube. If we can make a 500, that'll make my weekend. So let's review Brendan here. Brendan in Jersey here with me to review the game. Brendan was also at the game. We were both there to see this game. A game that Army, I thought Brendan had this game in hand 28-14 after their first drive of the second half. Even in the press box at halftime, I'm like, it was 21-14, right? And the game should have been, well, the hypotheticals 21-0 because Army gave UTSA 14 points, gift wrapped them 14 points in that first half. That punt that went off the leg of Tyrell Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, UTSA recovers at the 1. You might as well hand them a touchdown there. They thought they might have even recovered it in the end zone for a touchdown. I think they were reviewing that. And then an interception by Aaron Bibbins that's taken away because Army has 12 men on the field. And then next play, Frank Harris, touchdown pass, 20 on 3rd and 20, touchdown pass, and that gets them. They kept UTSA in this game and gave them life in the first half because UTSA was not doing much on offense at all. You know, Frank Harris was overthrowing receivers. He had a couple open guys for touchdowns. They were getting to the quarterback. Army was getting to the quarterback in the first half. And then the second half was a totally different story. And I don't know. What are your opening thoughts on this game?
Well, first of all, it certainly wasn't the most well-attended game in Mikey Stadium history, which honestly I can understand because baking in the sun for 4 hours isn't exactly my idea of a good time. But yeah, you know, as they say, football's a team game, and every unit had moments that made you cheer, and every unit had moments that made you tear your hair out. You know, the first quarter, it was very, you know, it was very punch counter punch, and then the second quarter, you kind of felt like Army maybe finally had their mojo back. Especially, you know, looking like they did last week. And then to start the third quarter with, you know, basically a 9-minute touchdown drive, it was like, okay, wow, Army's back. They're up 28-14. They're going to ride this game out. And, you know, last week, one of my thoughts was, well, you know, the defense gave up a lot of yards and a lot of points, but they were also, you know, they didn't get helped out by the offense very much. The offense didn't do a great job holding on the ball. Not an issue this week. Army absolutely won time of possession.
Yeah.
But basically from the end of the second quarter on, Army got no stops. You know, I mean, except for the field goal attempt that, you know, if that doesn't go wide, that ends the game for the opposition.
True.
So, yeah, I'm going to say it. I think this defense is officially a liability until they prove to me otherwise. You know, like Andre Carter, he end up getting some more postseason recognition, but if the rest of the unit is not up to snuff, it's not going to matter for the win column. And we said in our season preview, like, this team could start 0-2 and still have a special season. So, don't exactly push the panic button, but I've definitely got my finger on the button
Mm.
because I'm worried. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened, but it seems to me, my biggest concern right now is that the team as a whole, the program as a whole, has somehow lost its identity
Mm.
because they have not. They barely rushed for 200 yards last week, and
Didn't make it this week.
they didn't make it this week either. And if you're when you can't establish the fullback, and I don't even know if Jacoby Buchanan is fully healthy. It looked like today, based on the way he played, that maybe he might be nicked up. I don't know, but when your bread and butter up the middle is not working, um, that's very concerning to me.
Yeah.
Probably a good time. I mean, I don't expect next week's game to be easy against Villanova, but I would imagine that the talent level compared to UTSA and Coastal is pretty significant. It's a pretty significant difference. So hopefully this will be a good week. Basically, like a live fire scrimmage, to where it's like, hey, like, this is what it looks like when things are actually going right, and then they have a bye after that. It's a good. It's probably a good opportunity for them to work on themselves. But man, not. I predicted a 9-4 record for this season in our preseason preview. I don't feel great about that right now,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I was talking to somebody on the sidelines before the game about the fullbacks, right? And we were trying to go back to when Army was rotating 5 guys in, right? You had Woolfolk, you had Davidson,
Yeah,
you had Holt, you had Slomka, you had McCoy. Sandon McCoy was number 5 fullback at one time in this offense, and now they just don't have the confidence to bring in their, talking to somebody today. You have Buchanan and you have Riley. Those are the only guys that took snaps at fullback in the first 2 games, right? You really missed the Anthony Atkins factor with this team, right? Atkins was a guy that can break some tackles up the middle, can bust open those big runs at fullback. He's no longer with this team, and it's like they don't have that guy, and they don't have confidence to play anybody else but these 2 guys. And like you said, maybe both of them. Well, we know Tyson Riley was banged up in the preseason, and now is Jacoby Buchanan banged up at fullback? What are they going to do there? I mean, at some point they got to play somebody else there, I would think. And man, they still try the bread and butter. They still try to have the bread and butter be the fullbacks, but when it's just not working there. Did the slotbacks touch the ball enough today? Robinson got his hands on the ball a little bit. I wish Ishawn Marshall did a little bit more, because when Ishawn Marshall touched the ball, I think it was a touchdown and a first down through the air. I don't know. I look at some of the things that happen on offense, and here's the thing, Brendan. They're playing these first two games have been very physical against Coastal Carolina and UTSA. These are teams that have a lot of depth, right? Coastal Carolina, they play a fast pace. Coastal did, and UTSA like to play a little hurry up on offense today.
Oh yeah.
The injuries are mounting on this team. They didn't have Booby Law today at tackle. Simon Dellinger, who replaced Booby Law in the starting lineup in the first game, wasn't really 100%, so he didn't play. Then Shane Buckingham, the number 3 best tackle, he went down, didn't play in the second half. The corners, no Cam Jones today, no Isaiah Morris today. Freshman Donovan Platt got the start, and he's holding his own to a point out there, but it's a second college game, so the injuries are mounting here. Markel Broughton did not play in the second quarter much. Aaron Bibbins was in the game. Broughton was in and out of the game. And I thought Tyler might have been banged up because Cade Ballard was getting a run, but I guess it was just the way that the game flow went and what UTSA was daring Army to throw the ball. They were going to put 11 guys, within 5 yards of the line and say, okay, no fullback, no pitch play, forget about. Pitch play was there a couple times and it wasn't pitched. And could that have been a gain? Maybe, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just, let's welcome Steve Anderson in here. We have Steve Anderson back to join the conversation. Steve, I'm just talking about the offense, of course, and you know how much I love. When Army doesn't get the job done and wins games, I'm kind of a little hard on the offense sometimes. But maybe we can get your point of view of the game, like just your quick thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just had some unfortunate luck there in the fourth quarter, man. When you lose your quarterback as well as he was playing all game, and it just kind of seemed like we lost some momentum there. I really didn't feel like the game was ever out of control, or that there's ever a point that I felt like, oh man, we're losing this thing. I just felt like in that fourth quarter, it was like with the quarterback going down, it just kind of felt like something we lost the momentum. But I was losing my mind in the coin toss when they said they wanted the ball, and the referee helped them out and was like, oh no, that's not what you mean. Which side do you want to defend? It's like, hold up, man. Like, this is a grown man. Like, he made a decision. Did you guys hear that at all, or am I crazy?
Dude, that was a weird, right? Because Brendan, from what I was told, and I wasn't keeping a good eye on it, when the referee flipped the coin the first time, it never hit the ground. It like landed on his shoulder or something like that. So he had to reflip the coin. And then there was a Army a jet flew across during the coin toss, so you couldn't really hear what the referee was saying after that second coin. It was very confusing, that overtime coin flip. I don't know. Did you get the gist of that?
I don't know. That was all. I was up in the nosebleeds, so it was hard to get a read on that.
And I mean, I was listening to the game, and I had my AirPods on and everything, and it they messed up. They hit the kid's helmet, and it landed somewhere where they couldn't do the coin toss, so they reflipped it. UTSA won. UTSA said they wanted to defend, or they wanted the ball. And then Broughton was like, yeah, we'll go ahead and defend this way. And then the referee was like, no, hey, let me do this. Like, told Broughton to kind of shush it a little bit. Told Broughton to shush it. Let me do this. And then kind of walked the UTSA captain through the whole, like, hey, this is what you should be calling here. So that just really pissed me off. But
hey, Steve, real quick.
That's very strange.
Yeah, it was quick. I was losing my mind.
They played overtime last week, so it's not like these captains. Yeah, they played triple overtime last week, so it's not like it was anything new to the UTSA guy, right? I mean, he knew the drill, so to speak.
They do. We kind of did like a rotating senior captain kind of deal, but you're sending out your dude that knows what the coach wants at that coin flip. So, but I mean, that's just a small part. It's obviously not why Army lost. You can be mad at the offense all you want, Sal. 38 points is pretty good in my book.
Yeah, I should. I'm just saying. Brendan was talking about his concerns for the defense now. What are you seeing out there, Steve, defensively?
Look, and I always forget that Coastal Carolina was ranked last year, and UTSA went to the wire with Houston, who's a very talented football team this year. So let's not chalk these two teams up as like should have been wins. Automatic wins.
No.
And I was just shocked at how athletic UTSA's offense was compared to how athletic our defense is. There was a bunch of basically light coverage slant routes that I thought we would be up. Basically a little in certain situations we'd be kind of man pressure on there. But again, I can sit here and say I was watching the game and what I would have called, but those guys know all the analytics of what UTSA runs.
Yeah.
So, it just for me, and I don't know if there's any word on Broughton. I just hope to God that guy is, he's walking around, he's feeling good, and he's ready to play next week, because losing him will be a huge hit to our defense.
He played his tail off in the first quarter. I think he had 3 pass defenses. He was all over the field, and then second quarter he did not play much. Let me ask you this, Steve. I have a question for you on defense. Right when they're running those inside slant routes, you play linebacker, right? I'm just a journalist here. I'm not a player. Not gonna parade myself around as a player. But wouldn't you sit like a linebacker, maybe 5 to 7 yards back, and be in that kind of passing zone lane?
Well, what I saw was a lot of double slants. They were running a lot of double slant routes. So
okay.
The slot guy would take the slot guy is where the running back or where the middle linebacker would be. Yeah, absolutely. And then the second guy is where kind of like where the free safety is. But if you're not running a kind of like a low hole, high hole, or a man free where your middle linebacker kind of watches the eyes, we did a lot of that when I played, where me and Donovan Travis basically just watched quarterback's eyes. We played man, and then we had two guys that were free in the middle that kind of watched wherever the quarterback looked, that's where we were going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of this defensive scheme, and you can get caught in defenses in zones, right? You gotta get to a zone or what I noticed a lot on the slants was a guy would run a slant, and then when he caught it, he wouldn't cut straight up the field. He would continue to cut back, and guys were over pursuing, which, again, we're talking a handful of plays out of, I think UTSA had 75 plays or 80.
I have to look it up, man. If that's the case, wow. I think you're probably close. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they had about 75 plays a day, which that's exhausting for a defense. Our defense is usually watching our offense get 75 plays. So
81 plays.
I thought it was up there. I figured it was up there.
Army had 72, but 81 plays. So that's 151 plays for the defense in the first two games.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're usually not in good position when you're playing that many plays on defense. I remember it was like my freshman or sophomore year, and I think my sophomore year was the last time Army's been 0-2. That's how long it's been. I think 2008 was the last time.
They were in 2015.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, they were 15. They started out 0-3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I read a stat today that it was 2008. Well, anyway, we were 0-2 after our first two games, and we had played something like 170 plays or something after our first two games. I remember my freshman year at Boston College, we played 98 plays. It was it was a ridiculous number. I think, man, to be honest, I'm just super surprised at how athletic UTSA's offense was compared to how athletic our defense is.
Yeah, I think that too on defense, right? And Brendan, we saw this today, and Steve saw this. They're shuffling guys in and out. I mean, we must have played 3 or 4 different linebacker combinations. The defensive line, they're trying to keep the defensive line fresh. Sometimes they're playing with 6 DBs, and I mean, they're getting a lot of guys in. But Steve, when you have 12 guys on the field, right? And the rules are changing now if the offense subs, the defense gets a chance to sub too. But how do you get caught with 12 players on the field, right? They haven't had a turnover on defense yet this year, right? And that was their opportunity to get that one turnover and take complete momentum of that first half. And 12 men on the field erases it, man. How does that happen?
It's pretty easy if one guy hears there's 11 personnel in and you have a certain package for it, and another coach is calling 12 personnel or 14 personnel, right? Like if you think you're in your base defense but you're in your nickel defense, right? And two guys here, your DBs and linemen aren't right next to each other. It's very easy. It's just frustrating because, as you said, that was a huge play. And then, they right after that happened, they got 7 out of it. So.
Man, I tell you that Frank Harris, man, first half, he can't, I don't think he can complete a pass to me or you. He's got guys wide open in the end zone and he's sailing the ball all over the place. Then he gets that pass, that 3rd and 20 that went for a touchdown after the interception got taken away, I think that gave him a lot of confidence because he put that was like, Brendan, we were talking about that. That's a big time throw there. It was against freshman corner Donovan Platt, but he put it perfectly in the receiver's hands. I mean, there was no diving there at all, and that seemed to get him a little bit going.
Yeah, he was like NBA Jam on fire from that point on.
Well, I was a little surprised to see so many empty seats in the stadium, for our first home game of the year. It did not seem like we had a big turnout today for the 12th man.
Yeah, you know what, too? Brendan and I were talking about this. I was sitting in the second half. I was sitting on the reservoir side of the stadium, and there was usually the away fans are behind the goalpost there on the south side, I believe. But there was a large group of UTSA fans sitting on the reservoir side on the core side, right? The core side. They were making it more noise than the chorus sometimes during this game, Brendan, I thought.
Yeah. I'd be interested to hear what it was like to actually be at the game because, just from watching it on TV, it didn't seem like there was, like it was that big of a difference when we had the ball or when they had the ball as far as, home field advantage.
When Army had the ball, the UTSA fans were making a lot of noise, man. Yeah. I don't know if that bothers offensive players. I mean, it's not like Army, had any false starts because of the noise, but dude, that false start in overtime was huge. They had the ball on the 4, right? 1st and goal from the 4. I guess Connor Bishop might have snapped the ball or flinched the center because they called it on him, and that backs him up. And then Cade Ballard makes a mental mistake, I mean, he says that of all the plays that happened today, he's going to remember that pitch play, that errant pitch that backed him up even more. And, then you have to settle for a field goal in overtime. And when that happens, your defense has to be on point, when it's your turn up. And UTSA pretty much did what they wanted to do in overtime on offense. I mean, was it 2 plays, 3 plays? It wasn't much before they got into the end zone.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looked like their offense was pretty much rocking after, once that 4th quarter hit. There wasn't a lot of mishaps with UTSA in the 4th quarter, and then obviously in overtime. I just, I thought Ballard had a great game though, man. That guy, I think they said a couple times on TV, but he's a better runner than a lot of people give him credit for being 5'9", 200. If that's actually his height and weight. So, I think the biggest surprise for me though was, we have probably the longest, interesting stat of a running back never losing yardage in the history of college football. And then, Buchanan loses yards today for the first time ever in his career. And they were stuffing that dive. I think UTSA was like, you know what? We don't care if Ballard or the pitch hits it because we're not letting Buchanan get anything on us. And Buchanan dug for for the one touchdown that he had to spin move when it was 4th and goal. Yeah. Like he like had to beg and steal for that touchdown on 4th and goal before half. And Buchanan lost I think a half a yard today, or yard or something like that today, first time in his career. So it's just kind of, I think UTSA went with a game plan, and it was to stop Buchanan, and for the most part, they did that.
Yeah, so 15 carries for 32 yards for Buchanan.
I mean, that's not a recipe for success in the triple option.
No, but honestly, even even with even with UTSA's defense loading up and stuffing the offensive line, I didn't really think Jacoby really looked like Jacoby today. So I don't know if he's nicked up or what, but he did not look like himself today from where I was sitting.
But hey, I think UTSA said, hey, you're gonna have to beat us with the pass today, and guess what?
Yeah,
we did not shy away from that. There is nothing about this offense. There is nothing from the players or coaches just shied away. It's like, okay, fine, you're gonna do this. We're just gonna throw it then. And
Well,
I mean, we connected all the way throughout the field.
Well, yeah, but in the third quarter, that long drive that they had that they did score a touchdown, it was more running, and I thought they should have passed more in the second half. I thought they were a little conservative, like when they went those 3 and outs. I thought you have Isaiah Austin on the field, and I think he was a little nicked up, regardless if he was nicked up or not. If you're not going to throw to him, they threw a jump ball to him. They got a pass interference call, right? I mean, you got to. What are you doing? What are you doing with him, even if he is banged up? I mean, their wide receiver depth is not great right now. Ryan Jakovich is out with an injury. Cam Sure had a really good preseason, and I don't believe he's dressed the first 2 games, so he's probably banged up. I mean, it's Cole Catterbone, it's Isaiah Alston, and it's Vishay Daniel. That's your wide receivers. That's your wide receiver core right now. So use the slot backs. Use Ijon Marshall. Use Tyrell Robinson in the passing game. Use Brahim Murphy in the passing game. And yes, Ijon had a touchdown pass today, right? But man, that guy's got to touch the ball more, in my opinion. He's just got to get the ball more. And you can't run these slot backs on inside zone plays all the time and think that you're going to break 1 out of every 6 runs on the inside zone play, maybe. I don't know, Steve. I just don't. If they're not giving you the fullback inside at all, and what makes you think you're going to break a run with a slot back up the middle? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have to remember these guys have all the analytics. These guys have all the information they need to make the best play calls in situations, right?
Yeah.
And, sometimes it just seems like, it's kind of like, man, why are we running inside zone there? Like the inside counter last week did well. When we ran the counter inside last week,
the one run. Well. The one run. He had one run.
Right.
It was 70 yards. 70 yards, but yeah.
Hey, Sal, one run is all we needed today, and there was no fucking overtime. You know what I mean? So, we can sit here and do that, but man, I don't think there was ever a point where this game was out of control. Right. It just seemed like a couple, you have Broughton go down on the game winning play, right? Not having him on the field sucks.
Yeah.
But your quarterback who's been slicing and dicing all day goes down in the fourth quarter with severe cramps, goes to the locker room. He comes back out and he's down 7 when he was up 14 when he left. Okay, that's kind of like,
yeah, good point.
What happened there?
Yeah,
right?
Good point.
So we lose some of that momentum. And I know Tahir's been there, right? He's been there, done that. He's played that position for, but it's different when you come in the fourth quarter and, then when you have a pulse for the game and when you have management of the game. And I just think that's what we lost when we lost, Ballard today. And, you can say that it's just one player, but, he went off the field. We were up by 14. He came back and we were down by 7. So
yeah, he definitely made things happen. Brendan, we were talking about that throw that he threw to Brahim Murphy that was originally ruled a touchdown pass. Murphy was down at the 1. Man, he just had a great feel on that pass. A guy was bearing in on him. He stood in the pocket. He threw the ball up there. Murphy grabs it. That told you that he gets it in the passing game. He definitely gets it. That was a play that I was really, after that play, I'm like, I'm sold on Cade Ballard after that play. As far as
yeah. I mean, I think the one major positive today is like, to me, if it was my decision, which is not, but if it was my decision, Cade Ballard's your number 1 quarterback until proven otherwise. And it's kind of funny because the touchdown pass that Tyler threw, I was like, ooh, man, like, I don't know if I've seen him throw a ball that nice before. It was like, he just had the right amount of touch on it. But then, like, maybe the next drive for Army, there was like a little flat route to Robinson that Ballard threw.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, ooh, I don't know if I've ever seen Tyler do that. And I don't know. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna go out on a limb and be more than a bit hyperbolic here, but uh, I think because I've been following Army football
Yeah.
since 1999. I think Ballard may be the best passer I've ever seen there, and that includes guys who were recruited to run pro style offense.
As
So,
far as feel, right? That flat pass that you're talking about is like, I don't think I've ever seen an Army quarterback throw a flat pass like that in my time
no.
covering the team. With all due respect to everybody that's played the position, right? That just was placed perfectly in the spot. And I'm like, that's almost like a 5-yard out to a point. But I think Robinson got like 9 or 10 yards in the first down or something like that.
Yeah, I think it went for a first down.
Yeah.
Guys, small survey size. Okay, we're talking very small survey size. So if this is the first time we've seen some legit time out of Ballard and great play, and I hope it's more to come. But
good point.
A guy can have a great game. I mean, and I look again. I only want the best out of every player to ever step on the field at Army. That means more victories for me as a fan and as an Army football player. But we're talking very small survey size. Can't get too excited. Just kind of gotta go back and see. These guys are gonna watch the film and like you said, I mean, look, Ballard, true leader, right? He already knows where, probably all of his mistakes were. He already mentioned the pitch. I went back and tried to rewatch what Bishop did. I don't know if it was like as he came up to the ball, he like adjusted it really quickly, and it made the defense was already ready, so they like kind of committed before because our linemen weren't even set.
Now,
We're not even in position when Bishop put his hand on the ball and spun it or tweaked it or whatever, and it made something happen. It elicited some kind of movement from the defense where it was like, all right, hey, that's right. He was trying to do that. And it's like, dude, like, I know the refs don't think this way, but it's like 5 yards against us is way worse than 2 yards for us when we're on the 1st and 5 and goal, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to inch our way to the goal line. Like we've got 4 downs from the 5. We'll take that all day. So
yeah.
I didn't see it, and it's but again that with Ballard having that much time and coming back, it could have been something that the miscue between the center and the quarterback are off the same page. We just don't know. You guys were at the game, so I just as a fan, I felt like I was more excited watching the game than I could feel from like what I was getting from the stadium. I don't know.
So I think I because I was in the upper deck, so I couldn't see the Army sideline where most people sit. But apparently, even like a lot of season ticket holders didn't show up for this game, and I think people are starting to figure out that like the early to mid September home games at Mikey can be really hot and like kind of brutal to sit through. So I think a lot of people are just like opting out of that. Frankly, I'd like to see Army. I don't know. I don't know if this is like total sacrilege or whatever, but I wouldn't mind them if they know the forecast is going to be as hot as it was today. Certainly, like maybe switch out to the white jerseys. Like keep the gold helmet and gold pants, but at least like give yourself a break with a white jersey, man.
Well, no, I mean you're always the darker team when you're the home team. But it is interesting you say that. Army's always a team that travels well. So I
don't know. I mean, there were a decent amount of Army fans at Coastal, not an overabundance of Army fans, but a good turnout, right? And today, I mean, I thought there probably, I don't know what the announced attendance was, but if it was more than like 21,000, I would be shocked. And that's like, it felt like the stadium was half full. And when you hear UTSA fans saying, let's go defense chants over Mikey Stadium, that's not really the best sign in the world. It's not really the best sign in the world, in my opinion. I don't know. I just have one more thing on the offense, right? And this is me, of course. Ishawn Marshall had 3 catches for 87 yards. How many carries did Ishawn Marshall have today? 0. None. Did not carry the ball today. Now, is Ishawn Marshall going to break out like 50-yard run on his first touch? No, but it would have been nice. I guess Tyrell Robinson was the only slot back to take a handoff today for Army. Special teams, Steve, we talked about it earlier. Man, that punt return that went wrong is just, you just cannot have it. You just cannot have it. Man.
Now, I know the defense was on the field a lot today, but, it's a third, and a third. There's usually, somewhere around the same amount of plays on offense, defense, and special teams, counting punt return, kickoff, field goal, right? I mean, you tally all those up. It's usually a third. And yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that changes things is the momentum. When there's a huge play on special teams, momentum shifts incredibly. Having been on a punt team that's had a punt block at Army Navy, like in Raven Stadium, like I've been on that, and I have felt the air get sucked out of some momentum and been like, oh God, I have done felt this. So, but to your, back to your point, Sal, about, I'm sorry, not Robinson. Who didn't get carries today?
Ishawn
Marshall. How many, with a read offense, right? Like it has to be a read that he gets the ball in a lot of those circumstances, correct?
Yes.
It could have just been part of the scheme. All right. I understand that you can call counters and you can call handoffs to get the slot back to the ball, but if we're running
toss play, call toss play, man.
You could call toss play for sure. Honestly, I don't remember how much. I didn't see us on the perimeter very much. Toss play, triple, like the pit on the pitch either.
No, I mean they used to run like a motion into a toss like all the time. Like if you go back to like 16, 17, 18, it was a staple of the offense, and it just seems to have gone out of favor.
Yeah. Almost like the jet sweep, but a jet toss.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. No. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Tyre did stand in there and take a hit and toss it to Robinson, I believe, on one pitch play. I think they had, and that went for a decent gain. Robinson made something out of it. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, man. That's all I'm saying. You can run fullback. They only ran the fullback 17 times today, which is not that much. I think it was the exact number against Coastal, believe it or not. 17 and 19 times a game. Get it on. Quarterbacks ran a little bit more today, but get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, man. I don't know. It's when you put 38 points up, nitpicking on offense. I guess that's me. But,
and I'm a defensive guy, Sal. So if my offenses get me 38, right, and I'm a defensive guy, and we have an L after that, I mean, I'm going to say the offense did just fine. Okay.
Yeah. I think they put up enough points. They just couldn't stop Frank Harris. And
man,
I
mean, look, it wasn't as bad as the Wake Forest game last year. That was the most incredible. That was like the biggest shootout. But this was a shootout. I mean, it was a lot of left and rights today.
Shootout. I don't know, man. I mean, it seemed like Frank Harris was kind of slicing and dicing a little bit too. But they were doing those. They were giving the running back Brady some carries too. They were sneaking him in up the middle, and they couldn't tackle him half the time. Runs through right the middle of the defense, and I don't know. This is, I do think that Army has to settle down with a starting 11 on defense. I mean, to rotate 3 different players at a linebacker position during the game, not because of injury, just to see who's going to be the quote hot hand, so to speak. Steve, can you have a hot hand at linebacker? I don't know, man. Is it Calvin Crumby? Is it Peyton Hampton? Is it Spencer Jones?
I mean, look, it's tough. Look, to get a feel for the game, it takes reps. It takes being there. You're absolutely right. I used to hate when, Coach Shadot used to pull me for a series just because he thought I needed a break, because I would feel like I'm missing something that the next series that could help me go. But
they don't have Eric Smith this year. They just don't have Eric Smith, and Eric Smith doesn't come around too often, man. I'll say that.
Yeah.
They don't have Nolan Cockrell this year. They're playing two or three different guys.
Look, I get it, but like, if all of them are, making mistakes during practice and all of them are playing okay at practice, right? Like, you got to see who's going to make the plays during the game. And there's only one way to do that, and that's put them in the game.
Yeah.
Because if there's no lead guy, if there's no guy that's like, no shit, this is my dude,
mm-hmm.
right? And you've got to give these guys opportunities to see who is the dude. Who's the guy that's going to show up on Saturday? Because if all of them are making mistakes, or if all of them are, doing well, right? You got to see who's going to do well on Saturday. And I get it. Yes, it's very hard to play 5 plays here, and then 10 minutes later play 5 plays there, and then 3 series later play 5 plays there. Or, you get a 3 and out, and then you only get 3 plays versus the guy that just did a 10-play drive. It's very difficult to get a feel for the game. But look, this coaching staff has to me has won my respect in the fact that, look, I know they know what they're doing. We've had a couple tough games here, right, with Coastal and UTSA, but neither of these teams, all right, are teams that you play in the beginning of the year to get you your first 2 wins. I mean, these 2 teams are legit. Yeah. So I would not be surprised if both these teams win bowl games this year.
Oh, they're pretty good, even though Coastal was struggling with Gardner Webb today. Gardner Webb, it was 24-20 in the second half, Coastal.
They were
Gardner Webb. So
I don't know what was in the water today. There were a lot of FBS teams struggling with FCS teams today. So I guess it could be. I guess our 0-2 could definitely be a lot worse.
Guess what I had the honor of tonight doing? Listening to the same broadcasting group that brought us Army and Coastal Carolina, the same tandem that brought us that last week, and I heard the running Bulldogs of Gardner Webb like 100 times during the broadcast. He kept on calling them the running Bulldogs of Gardner Webb, and it was driving me like, oh, we're watching it as a family, and I'm like, come on, man.
I mean, the announcement team for last week was that's your B team. We minimized.
I'm gonna have to get some tape out. I think I'm gonna have to get some tape for next college football season, man. I don't know, man. If you guys are watching right now, you have any questions, we're gonna wrap this up in a few minutes. If you want to throw it our way, a couple things I wanted to point out on defensive side. I thought that Andre Carter got his first sacks of the season in this game. He had 2.5, I believe, officially. Cam O'Gara, one of those linebackers playing on the inside, at his first career sack in the first quarter, I believe. Darius Richardson at nose, I thought, made a couple plays behind the line today, and Austin Hill, I thought, had some moments on the defensive line today. I'm just trying to highlight some the defensive side of the ball, even though you give up 41, Steve. There were some bright spots and there were some good plays. It's just not enough, not enough apparently. So.
Well, you talk about it that, from the beginning of time, turnover battle matters. Okay. The turnover battle matters, not just in field position, not just in momentum, but in just the course of the game. You got to be able to get turnovers. That's just what you pride yourself on as a defense. Like, taking the ball away from the offense is just something that's what you do on defense. It's something that you love to do, and it's something that just something that hasn't happened yet. And we'll find it. It just
wow.
You think about it. If we have that turnover today, right, the game never goes to overtime. Theoretically, right?
Yeah. Same.
You can do those all you want. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You know what, too? Marquell was close to a couple picks earlier in the game, right? He had a couple pass breakups, and it seemed like he was getting a feel of Frank Harris and, like you said, reading him a little bit, Steve. And maybe in that second quarter where he didn't play much, maybe if he was in the game, maybe something would have happened. By the way, Coastal beat Gardner-Webb 31-27 tonight. So they were in a battle. So those running Bulldogs put up a fight, no doubt, at Conway tonight.
Post Army hangover.
Good call, Brandon. Good call. Any final thoughts, guys, on this game? I'm going to put a wrap on it. Villanova next week will not be easy. Coach Munkin said they're like a top 5 team in FCS. They're going after recruits that Army goes after, and sometimes get them over Army. So we'll see. That's not going to be easy next week.
No. And look, our guys will be ready. I think the hunger's there, the desire's there. There's just been, hasn't been, the formula for success yet. But let's not break the glass just yet, and let's beat Villanova.
No doubt, Brendan. You have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of alluded to this, but this week, like, make Cade the number 1 QB, give him all the first team reps, and you make sure he's well hydrated as well, and see what happens against Villanova, and then you got to buy after that. It's a good, it's a good couple weeks to work on yourself. So, yeah, we'll just see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I thought this would be a good bounce back game for Army after Coastal. They were playing at home. Like I said, first home, they had won 6 straight home openers, 32-5 since 2016 at Mikey Stadium before today. And hey, UTSA, give them credit. They were a good team. They finished this game strong. They had some answers. Army didn't. And the Black Knights lose 41-38 in overtime. So we appreciate you guys watching our recap podcast. Check out our YouTube channel. Steve, 495 subscribers. We're 5 away from 500. Let's get that done. Like this podcast. Check out our Instagram, Black Knight Nation Instagram, Black Knight Nation Twitter, and my personal Twitter. I'm at 8,500 followers. So I really appreciate all you guys taking a like to the Black Knight Nation, and we'll be back. Steve, we gotta get a podcast guest going soon. We gotta figure that out. There was talk of maybe getting a coach tomorrow night, but not after a loss. I can imagine Army coaches are opening up their schedule on a Sunday night after a loss to come on the Black Knight Nation podcast.
I don't want to talk to anybody at this point. So
yeah. So we'll wrap it up. Thanks again, guys. Steve and Brendan, appreciate you guys hopping on, and we'll be back soon with another edition. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
See you, man.